This is a home you could have bought from the Sears catalog in 1915, only $938. The home would be delivered with everything you need to build it yourself, including every nail in a box. All you had to do was follow the instructions and put it together. Factoring inflation, that same home would be just under $28,000 today, still seemingly a real bargain. However, it doesn't include man-hours to construct the home, the lot, the foundation and basement, the garage, the driveways and sidewalks, and the city fees. Still, it would be quite the bargain. Looking at the neighborhood that this home would have been built in, as an example, this area of North Minneapolis, you could see thousands of identical, narrow lots with alleys, common to the planning of the early 1900s. These lots were generally 40 foot wide and about 125 feet or so deep. Narrow alleys that go back to the 1800s were very common. From the 1920s through the 1940s, we start seeing a transition, eliminating alleys. The separate one-car garage is still in the backyard, however, with a long driveway. Our test area is 4.09 acres with 24 lots, resulting in almost 6 homes per acre. We used a 10-foot wide alley pavement, with a 14-foot alley right-of-way. A public street with 30-foot wide and street pavement is within a 66-foot right-of-way. Lots are each 5,000 square feet. Residents have 1 parking space in the lot, and about 2 more cars that could park in the street in front of the home. In 1915, the typical homeowners were just getting their first car, as most were taking the bus, a trolley, or still had horses. It was an age where the husband works and the wife stays at home. There's no two-way traffic in a 10-foot alley today, but cars were narrower back then, so perhaps not as bad. Unutilized side yards and the porch dominates. Look at the environmental impact chart derived by the Land Mentor technology, indicating what is man-made and what is organic. The driveways are the smallest percentage of this impact. Now, let's go from the 1920s through about 40. Same density, same area. No alley. The single-car garage in the rear of the lot is served by a very long driveway that could park about 6 cars. This method of the past is what we will lead up to for future solutions at the end of this presentation. Now let's take a look with more detail. The side yards are utilized for parking. There is quite a bit more environmental impact. The alleys are gone. The public street stayed the same, but the driveways now take a major percentage of the site. The big problem is in the 1920s there was no environmental impact requirements for the development that we have today. Today, you can't simply drain your project runoff onto someone else's site. It has to be maintained and detained inside the site. This would be approximately the size of the detention area. Density would drop to about 19 lots, reducing it to 4.64 homes per acre. Let's look at an updated alternative, taking that same footprint and making it a more modern home. We added the detention, yet maintained the original 24 units. We've maintained the footprint to the house, but we added an attached 2-car garage in back. We designed an 18-foot wide functional lane with a 20-foot right-of-way. It's a private drive. It is an association-maintained detached town-home plan, based in what we call a bay home design, which Professional Builder magazine in 1999 coined it new urbanism. With a view, there's 2-car parking in the garage, plus at least 2 more in the side yard. In essence, we're replicating a little bit of that 1920s to 1940s era, but in a far more efficient and functional manner. Most single-family residents today would have 2 or 3 vehicles. The homes are staggered for a panoramic view of the surrounding common space. Now let's go back and look at the 1915 home plan itself. It has a tiny little kitchen cower, individual small rooms. The only bathroom in the house is on the lower level, 4 small bedrooms with tiny closets. When we look at it from a spatial analysis standpoint, we could see the 592 square feet of main floor living space. Now what we've done is we've modified the home to the 2023 market. We added the 2-car attached garage and updated to an open floor plan. We have a mudroom at the rear entry. We maintained the full front porch, large powder room with a pantry. We also added a sliding door on the side because we're going to utilize the side yard for parking and private patio space. Upstairs, we reduced it from 4 to 3 bedrooms. However, the upstairs could add another bedroom or 2 above the garage as an option that the original home could not do. The 1 lower full bath was reduced to a half bath, and the upstairs now has 2 full bathrooms. The bedrooms are larger with bigger closets. On a small home, waste in hallways makes a larger impact. We reduce that impact by 17%. The open floor plan has 9% more usable area. Looking at the neighborhood in an animation created in Land Mentor then exported to Enscape, as it might have looked in 1915, there would have been a combination of cars and horse-drawn carriages. It would be a little bit different that you wouldn't have these paved streets as you see the same area today. These shown here might have been earthen streets and perhaps not as wide. The 66-foot wide right-of-way was typical because a land surveyor's chain was 66 feet end to end. This way a surveyor could easily stake out the streets and lot corners. This is that main reason for the grid design of the past. It was easy, but pretty much other than that, it's a streetscape that you would expect. Looking inside this home, you have small individual living spaces. They didn't have great rooms back then. These little individual rooms were common. Very small area, very compressed. This is the kitchen with minimal appliances of the day. A short hallway leads to the sitting room, which we would guess would be like the family room. Let's go up the stairs. Upstairs are the 4 bedrooms. Now keep in mind, there's only 1 bath in this house, and each bedroom may have multiple children. So living was quite a bit different, and be claustrophobic for what you would expect a home today to be like. Let's take a look at the development again, but this time with no alleys. The driveways go along the side of the home. This utilization of the side yard for parking was also common at the beginning of the suburban era. As an example, Oak Park, Michigan developed in the 1950s. The long driveways lead to the one-car garage in the back. I would think that the streetscape would be more sanitized with less parked vehicles because residents have all this extra parking in the driveway. An advantage to the replication of the past gridded high-density developments is these small but useful rear yards. Everybody had the same yard, but essentially with either alley or long driveways, cars were parked in both the front and the rear of the home. Cars are a landscape feature. Many of these old developments have deteriorated to slums. As the income level drops, the streets are no longer parked up with Cadillacs and Mercedes, but instead with vehicles that are rusty and in need of repair. This junkyard along the street appearance sets the stage of decay. Cars can become a very negative landscape feature. Keep in mind the nicer vehicles get parked in the garage, the junk gets parked in the street. Another thing you might notice is that the rears of the home had very little visual tie to the private rear yard space. The visual connection to space was more orientated to the front of the home where the least space was located. A transition in housing in the next few decades eliminated the front porch and oriented living spaces to the private rear yard. While the front yard wasn't much, that full front porch gave the neighborhoods character and warmth. The intent of this presentation is not to dwell on the past, but how we are able to utilize the beauty and character of these Sears homes and apply them to help solve some of today's housing issues with newer and more efficient forms of land planning and home design. As you can see, we have the same site but added the park and detention pond, yet maintain the previous 24 home density. The homes are set in a 0 lot line setting that allows utilization of the side yard for a private patio area as well as for parking of vehicles. These vehicles could include extra cars, guest parking, or perhaps a boat or motor home. More important, that side yard parking hides parked vehicles from view, both in the front, that is positioned mostly along common open spaces, and in the rear along the private lane as one comes home or parks in the guest parking. Those homes along the existing streets have larger setbacks to soften the negative landscape of parked vehicles. This neighborhood is association maintained. Landscaping would have site maintenance taken care of by a monthly fee. This eliminates the chance of having residents that do not maintain their yards, which could lead to lower values of neighboring homes. A tour of the inside of the home reveals something entirely different and far more exciting. With an open floor plan, the residents would feel space that is 4 times greater with light passing through the home. These homes could be slab on grade or include a basement just like the past Sears homes. The panoramic views to the adjoining common space significantly increases the perception of space. This way, both actual space and the feel of that space is increased, yet the density is still quite high. This is accomplished by 2 design principles. The first is a new era of geometric relationships that our studio, Rick Harrison's site design, pioneered. The next is the premise that home designers and land planners should be working in concert to blend interior and exterior spaces. This merging of architecture and planning is a more holistic approach that is taught in the Land Mentor system, which is available for free in 2023 at landmentor.com. The side yard patio is a space that adds a private area for the resident that can be closed off or left open to add to the panoramic view. The neighborhood's meandering walks also add to the change of scale that increases the perception of space through the deeper front yards along streets or within the commons. The walks set far away from vehicular traffic are obviously safer. This separation also provides far more area for street trees to grow. Here you can see the transformation of architecture using the identical floor plan but with a contemporary wrapping. The evolution of the Sears home can maintain the original character or morph into a modern environment. Along the commons, every resident would have a massive feel of space. The detention area becomes a serene space one would want to sit on that beautiful huge porch and enjoy the setting. It is this transformation of planning and architecture have roots in the past, but its living environment, much more suited to the standards of today that we demonstrate here. For those of you that may think a development of today using the idea of Sears homes is too far-fetched, this is the heart-shaped cul-de-sac of the Chandler, which is a 19-acre neighborhood by C. Michael Davenport in Frankfort, Kentucky. The homes around the cul-de-sac emulate the look of the Sears homes of the past, but with more modern interiors using planning methods that merge the benefits of Bay homes and Cove design pioneered by our studio. We hope you enjoy this presentation, and if you are a consultant or municipality, take advantage of the free download of the Land Mentor system. You can also download the interactive 3D file at landmentor.com/b.exe if you have a gaming computer. For developers and builders interested in exploring next-generation neighborhoods, please contact us.